Today we're going to talk about monitoring the environment, sustainability, renewable and non-renewable resources, and your ecological footprint. So, how do our daily activities affect our environment? As you can see here, we have factories, we have cities or urban development, we have agriculture, and then we have pollution. What are three ways that those factors affect our environment? All three, industry, urban development, and agriculture, will all affect our environment, the atmosphere, the land, the ecosystems, the soil, and the water. All three, industry, urban development, and agriculture, pollute our atmosphere, our soil, and our water. There's two types of resources that we use. We use renewable resources, which are resources that we can use over and over again. They can replenish themselves. For example, water. We can use water for electricity, we use water for drinking, for hygiene, and because of the water cycle, water will always replenish itself. As opposed to our non-renewable resources, which are resources you can only use once and then you can never use them again. The best example for you would be our fossil fuels, so oil, gas, things like that. If you use it one time, you cannot use it again. You can't fill up your gas tank twice with one tank of gas. If you fill your gas tank up today, you can't use that gas again tomorrow. So let's check for understanding. Natural gas. Is that something that you can reuse over and over again? Is that something that replenishes itself? Or after you use it once, is it done? Natural gas is a non-renewable resource. It's actually a fossil fuel. So eventually we could run out of natural gas. Trees. Renewable or non-renewable? Can trees replenish themselves? Can we use them again and again? We can. They are a renewable resource. However, if we use them up too quickly before they can regrow, we could eventually lose them. So we do have to be sustainable in our use. Which brings us to our next topic, sustainability. What is sustainability? Sustainability is using our resources at a rate in which they can be replenished. So if we're going to cut down trees for paper or for building materials, we have to wait long enough for those trees to regrow so we can use them again. We need to use resources for our own needs, but we also have to do so without causing harm to the ecosystem. So we should not be overusing our resources. We should only be using what we need. Ecological footprint. Your ecological footprint is how much resources and land you use to sustain your life. So how much water, land, energy, biodiversity, and how much waste you make is your ecological footprint. So if we take a look at the map, you can see that the U.S. has a very large ecological footprint, the largest ecological footprint of any other country. Why do you think that is? Here's just another graph showing you that many countries use or have a lot smaller ecological footprint than us. And if you look at this dotted line is actually showing you what each person's ecological footprint should be in order to be sustainable. Every person in the world should only be using about 1.8 hectares of land and resources. But because of our increasing population, almost no countries are at or below the 1.8 hectare number. So, how can we work towards a more sustainable future? In 3 steps. This will answer the last 2 questions in your Cornell notes. The first thing we have to do is recognize that we have a problem. Then we have to collect data and research to figure out why do we have this problem, what are we doing wrong, and then third, we need to change our behavior. And oftentimes in the US, changing our behavior will involve a new law or act put in place to almost force people to change their behavior. An example of working towards a more sustainable future would be overfishing. So we recognized that we were overfishing, that the fish in the ocean were being depleted at a rate that they could not regrow, regroup, or reproduce fast enough. So we recognized the problem. We collected data and research. As you can see here, in 1962, the fish were 21 pounds and up to 11 years old that we were catching. And today, the fish are as small as 1 pound and only 2 years old. That's because we're fishing at an unsustainable rate. We're taking too many fish out of the ocean too quickly that they can't reproduce fast enough. So we collected the data and we figured that out. And last, what we did was we changed our behavior. In the US, we have laws and rules on how many fish you can catch, how much the fish can weigh that you catch. So if it doesn't weigh enough, you have to throw it back. And that is how we are going to work towards a more sustainable future. So in closing, what we need to do is we need to find a balance between our resource use and the time that we allow those resources to replenish themselves so they'll always be there for us to use.